Mr. Edit Man presents, what's the weirdest thing one of your classmates has ever done? Throughout random college classes there was a kid who came to class occasionally in a Batman suit, a legit, good quality Batman suit. I'm in high school, and I'm on my way home. Out of nowhere I hear this kid yell, "Hey, Dev." I do not know him too well. I only know him as my friend's biology partner. He comes up to me and says, "I really like your new profile picture." He holds up his phone in my face, which is displaying my picture. It was nothing special, just my face and shoulders. Feeling kind of awkward, I replied, "Oh, that's cool. You got Facebook on your phone." He goes, "Nope, I saved it on my phone," and walks away. What the duck? In 4th grade, it was the final class of the day, and it was almost time to go home. One of my friends had been usually quiet that day and seemed a bit under the weather. About 25 minutes before the final bell rang, he proceeds to vomit all over his desk. My teacher jumps up and leaves the classroom in order to get a janitor whose office was adjacent to our classroom. While the teacher was out of the room, my friend proceeded to eat his own vomit off the desk in an effort to clean up the mess. This only made him vomit more and caused a girl in our class to vomit as well. Talking about it still makes me wanna gag. A girl in a gym class of mine tried to shoot an arrow at a classmate she liked. Archery was banned from then on. One Abe Cupid. I see. This kid was a serious goofball. He was quite at odds with the norms of society. He showed up to our English class for the first half of the semester, dressed in a different costume each time. Sometimes he was dressed in scrubs, or in a clown suit, or as a pirate, etc. One day, halfway through the semester, he suddenly stands up, interrupting the professor, and shouts, "Wait a minute, I'm not supposed to be in this class." He stormed out of the room, never to return. Another time I saw him sitting outside the cafeteria with a veritable mountain of newspaper hats. They type that you fold that looked like admiral's caps. He was handing them to anyone who would take one and laughing hysterically out of control as hundreds of people put on these caps. I asked him where he got them from, and he said he had stayed up all night, blowing lines of Adderall, and made them all himself. He was an odd child. Approached me in the bathroom while I was taking a whiz. He proceeded to say, if we hold hands and flush our pee at the same time, our pee would mix and we could be pee brothers. Another time is a kid doing small yet loud farts like a machine gun for about a minute when everyone was taking a test. The whole time he was laughing maniacally. College roommate used to randomly tackle hug people she knew. She frequently saw people across campus, mistook them for people she was close with, and proceeded to run full speed and tackle the ever-living piss out of them. She'd hug them while they were down, then scream and run away after realizing it was not who she thought it was. Hysterical from my point of view, but I'm sure it was absolutely terrifying for those poor souls who ate dirt as some random chick tackle hugged them. This kid malarkey himself, and instead of running out, he decides to announce to the class that he pooped himself. Everybody just looks at him like has lost his mind, and we have a great long awkward pause before our teacher says, "Do you want to go to the bathroom?" The kid responds that he can wait until the bell rings. We proceeded to go through the rest of class. About 10 minutes. The bell rings, and he casually wanders to the restroom like it's no big deal. We were in ducking 11th grade. What the duck? To sum it up, kid stays in class with his underwear full of poop for no apparent reason. My high school had a rule against hoodies. People always fought and questioned it, and the reason was always changing. From the hood concealing identities to the front pocket being able to hide things. During algebra my teacher from Lithuania, good at math, interesting lady, horrible at teaching and controlling a class, tells this one popular joker kind of guy to take off his hoodie. He asks why and is told that the pocket could hide things. He says his pants have pockets too. Should he take them off? She tells him to do whatever he wants. So he stands up and takes off his pants. She does not know what to do, so just stops talking for a bit then tries to continue class. After about a minute standing there pantsless he takes off his hoodie, puts it over his legs, puts his pants on his arms, and stays like this until the end of class. We had a no outer garments rule. The official reason was hiding weapons or symbol malarkey, but my English teacher senior year told us that the real reason was that people did not wash them often enough and they smelled. They could not enforce a "do not stink" rule, so the teachers went close enough and enforced no stinky coats. A girl in my HS social studies class just randomly started growling at her desk. The whole class, including the teacher just stopped to stare at her. She then got up, slipped her underwear off, she was wearing a skirt, and put them in the garbage and ran out of the room. She had some issues with drugs, obviously. This reminds of my sophomore year Algebra 2 class. There was this girl who would meow quietly while we took tests. Just during tests though, the people sitting around her always had to resist laughing. I was in 12th grade, and we had a teacher that was notorious for always letting girls go to the bathroom and restricting access for the guys. 5 minutes before class ends, hold it, near the end of the year, people started whispering that someone was going to do something. Sure enough, 5 minutes before the end of class, a popular goofball stands up and asks to go to the bathroom. Permission denied. In full view of everyone, he pees himself, then asks to be excused. Permission granted. To sum it up, classmate peed himself on purpose to prove a point. 8th grade, group of friends were standing outside during lunch, joking around. A friend of a friend, Don, wandered up to us and said to one of us, "Look at this," and pulled a hypodermic needle out of his pocket, and then poked/stabbed my friend in the stomach with it. Don was a known stoner and bit of a character, but that changed everyone's thoughts about him. He was expelled, but was in high school with us for a while. My friend ended up getting a series of HIV tests. In 6th grade some kid malarkey into his hand in the restroom and then proceeded to smear it all over the wall, writing his own name in the process. When confronted, he tried to deny it. Later in high school, he started working at a local pizza place. Everyone remembered the malarkey incident and never ate there. Once a malarkey offender, always a malarkey offender. A girl in my chemistry class spilled silver nitrate on her station and tried to wipe it with her hand. One of my classmates had a seizure and passed out when he saw a picture of an erect penis in 5th grade. That's when we realized he was uber straight. I knew a kid in high school that I'm pretty sure was schizophrenic. He talked to himself and had bizarre outbursts all the time, but the teachers just treated him like he was a problem student. In art class a couple of kids would pick on him. They used to tell him, "Hey, do your song." He would proceed to stand on a table and sing Radiohead's Creep, including making strange guitar noises and doing a weird slow sensual dance. I felt really bad for the guy, but it was just too weird. Probably no point in posting this with all the other replies, but what the hell. One day back in 2nd grade, the class was busy playing with art toys during playtime. Out of nowhere, we heard our teacher shout "Billy no." The whole room's attention shifted over to Billy, who was squatting in the corner of the room with his pants at his ankles. Between his legs was a distinct turd still dangling from his juvenile rear end. Once Billy heard our teacher yell his name, the unimaginable happened. With a look of shame and guilt on his face, Billy somehow magically sucked the turd back up into his rectum before it had a chance to fall on the floor. I kid you not. Out of all my childhood memories, this certainly takes the cake. Never will I forget my teacher yelling "Billy no," or the image of a turd magically rising back up into a 2nd grader's asshole. To sum it up, kid nearly malarkeys on floor, sucks malarkey back up his ass. In 2nd grade there was a kid named Henry. One day while making animals with construction paper he swallowed a piece of twine and wrapped it so it came out of his nose and mouth simultaneously. Our teacher, Miss Zombie, that was seriously her name, freaked out and yanked the twine out. Well, while doing this, she ripped out 2 of his teeth. Henry freaked out and ran around the room screaming "moo oh oh," while bleeding badly from his mouth. Henry turned out to be a male cheerleader and model student and got a lot of action in high school, though his cow incident always remained with him. So, it was in my 7th grade, or 8th, and I was madly in love with one of the girls on my class. She seated always 2 rows behind me, and in the middle was one of my friends. One day, he taps me in the back and gives me a pencil, looks at me and says, "I bet you cannot break that pencil with your bare hands." I give him the challenge accepted look, take the pencil and break it instantly, obviously. At the same time he moves away just in time to allow her to see me breaking it. Results that the pencil was hers. He could not stop laughing and she got mad at me. Why would he do that? Why? A guy I went to school with dropped his pants in the library and pissed all over the encyclopedias. One time, in elementary school, I was taking a crap and my friend came into the bathroom board. He laid down on the ground and crawled a little under the stall door so that we could see each other. We proceeded to have a conversation. In 7th grade, I had this weird kid that followed me basically everywhere I went. He was in almost all of my classes. And back then you did not have a choice in what you were taking. So I just kind of dealt with it. He openly admitted to wanting to date me. Whatever that entails at 13. I openly denied him at any given opportunity. Because he weirded me out. And for good reason. One day in my home economics class, we were getting ready to sew something that we had been working on when he confronted me in front of the whole class and asked me to go out with him. I said no, as usual, not intimidated by the audience. He was not happy, so he walked over to me, grabbed my index finger. I was just surprised he was touching me, and he bent it completely backwards. He broke it. I had to go to the nurse. To sum it up, turned the guy down. He assaulted me in a classroom setting. Weird malarkey. Once one of the students in the cafeteria stood up and yelled "I'm ready," like how SpongeBob does it ... and then pulled his pants down revealing his SpongeBob boxers. My friend James Wang is the funniest and coolest, but weirdest person I have ever met. In grade 9 he was sick of having a stuffy nose and blowing it all the time. So he shoved Kleenex up each nostril. He then lit them on fire. He had burn marks. A few years later, in science class we had to heat something with Bunsen burners. He melted a dime onto a nickel and made a 15-cent coin. In grade 11 biology we had to put onions in cups of water so they would grow roots. We used microscopes to watch mitosis occur. Instead of throwing away his onion he kept it in his locker ... for 2 years. The thing was massive and sprouted new onions I believe. Once, while walking home with him from school during winter. We live in Canada. Lots of snow in winter. He was complaining he was thirsty. The next day, while walking home from school, he said he was thirsty again. Next day, thirsty. Only this time was different. He stopped halfway at this certain tree and just started digging through the snow. He pulled out chocolate milks for all of us walking home together. He said he came back about an hour after going home the other day and decided to rectify our thirst problem. He once went squirrel fishing. We just finished grade 12 and it was summer. We were hanging out at a provincial park by our houses. He had a fishing rod and a bag of peanuts. 10th grade. French class. A guy spent his whole lunch gathering up a couple dozen crickets in his lunchbox. Then set them loose in class. They were crawling up everyone and making a lot of noise. I was pissed because the teacher thought it was me and made me clean up the squished ones. In hindsight, it was epic. This is an old gag that's been going on at my school for ages. There are certain classrooms that have impossible to find crickets that just randomly chirp throughout the year. You have made it until the end of this video. Now listen here and listen here closely. Like and subscribe for more curated content from Mr. Edit Man. Thanks for watching.